Hello, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to a special episode of the My One Cent Podcast. Special because one, I'm alone today. Two, it's something different, and I don't have a three. So, with that being said, I have seen a lot of people, you know, put up YouTube, videos on rating stuff. Is it really true that I have a fucking lazy eye? Ain't that some shit? Whatever. Is that considered cockeyed? I hope not, because I don't want to be cockeyed. Yeah, I'm gonna get shit for that right now. I know it. I'm gonna get shit for it. But anyway, it's alright, bro. Whatever. It is what it is, bro. Bring it. Bring it. So yeah, I see people doing shit like that all the time. Videos of rating stuff and all kinds of shit. And so I started thinking, what is it that I do on a regular basis besides my job and other stuff like lawn landscaping? I'm actually pretty goddamn good at landscaping. If you come see my yard, this shit is pristine. Where I lived up down south, close to Homestead once, I was there for a couple of years. I know I had the baddest grass on the block. Hands down, I had the baddest lawn on the block. So that's something that I'm good at, but I'm not going to come on here and talk to you about landscaping. You motherfuckers don't want to hear about no landscaping. So I started to think about other things that I enjoy doing and that I think I have a decent opinion on, and that is podcasting. And now, not the art of it, because Lord knows I don't know that. Talking about the podcasts that I listen to. And, hold on. Fucking Hispanic women, bro. You can hear them a mile away, dude. I don't know if you guys are picking, my mic picks up everything, so I don't know if you guys are picking that up, but I guess some seem to ignore the on-air sign and not this one. Brandon, your sign, brother. So, yeah, I decided to do a top 5 podcast that I listen to. And there's really no particular order. Like the top 3 and the 4 and 5, they can be swapped within each other. You know what I'm saying? And basically, I guess most of my gauge is what I listen to the most. Because I figure if you listen to it the most, it's the one that entertains you the most. So, therefore, that's probably your favorite, I would think. So, I'm gonna go from 5 to 1. I think it's more exciting to do it that way. Because if I tell you number 1 now, you're gonna be like, all right, who cares about the rest? So number 5, and like I said, 4 and 5 can be swapped. So my gauge again, if I want to use that word again, my gauge between those two is basically the one I found the most recent. And so that's what I'm gonna name. I'm gonna put at number 5, and that is "Life Is Short" with Justin Long. One, I love it. I love the name, and I'm sorry guys that I keep doing this. I don't know. I have a thing with this. I started doing it last week too, just like timing and shit. I'll see if I cut that out. "Life Is Short" with Justin Long. If you don't know who Justin Long is, he's an actor. He's a comedian. Well, he's a comedic actor because I have never seen him do any stand up. So, and I don't consider people who don't do stand up comedians. I consider if you're a comedic actor is one thing, but I don't consider you a comedian. So he's a comedic actor. He's been in Dodgeball. One of my favorite roles of his was oh my god, what was the name of the movie with Drew Barrymore? Going the Distance. I love that movie. The cast is good. It's a funny movie. It's a good movie. I give it props. He's had some roles that I'm not too fan. Like I think it was the Breakup where he plays that weird dude from the art studio, whatever. But he's had Dodgeball. I feel bad for him, but I loved him in Going the Distance. And so he has a podcast. It's relatively new. I mean, I think he's got like 20 or 30 episodes in or something like that. And I really enjoy listening to him. I think he's very lively. I like his little intro song, and like all these little things catch me. It ain't just what you're doing on the air; it's the little things. Like when I get to my number 1, because I kind of already know who my number 1 is. When I get to number 1, it's the same thing with that one. Intro is badass. The quality of what he does, and yes, it's a he. Because do I listen to any female podcasts? No, unless they're a guest. So Justin Long, number 5. "Life Is Short." Check it out. He does it. His brother comes on with him, and they do a little back and forth before they get to the guest that they're gonna bring on. That's another thing that I want to address. I like certain podcasts that bring guests on, and I like guys that don't. And 2 of my top 3 Do one does both and one doesn't at all. He doesn't bring anybody on, and that to me is impressive. Because, for example, myself, I did 20 episodes of this show before I deleted my other show, which I had like 30 episodes in, and those were all done by myself. And doing a podcast alone is not easy. It really isn't. It's fun. I like talking to myself. I don't have a problem with it, but it's not easy to do. It's always when you have somebody there, you bounce shit off, and it just flows sometimes a little easier. But even then, as you've seen on this show with the other guys, sometimes it ain't always that. It ain't always flowing. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm talking about. So, I have liked his guests. He does a little answer segment at the end where he, asks the people what's the most emoji they use, and if you can be an animal or something like that, and if you can have dinner with like 3 people you never met, alive or dead. Those are like interesting type questions. I mean, he does it to everybody. He added one last week or the week before, but I can't remember what it was now. So, but overall, I think it's a very lively podcast. It's fun to listen to. He brings on different people. And I think he's actually good at it. I think he's a good interviewer. I think he's good at talking to the guys and stuff. The funny thing to me about podcasts, though, sometimes, like, if, for example, I'll listen to an interview of someone, like, for example, with him. It's a perfect example because the one that came to my attention. He had a episode with Dax Shepard. Did I say it right? Dax Shepard. The husband of Kristen Bell. Dude I always say he's a funny-looking guy because he is funny-looking. But he's funny. He did Employee of the Month, which I thought he was a real douchebag in it, but he was good. He played the part. He's been in some other movies that I've seen him in a couple times, but he has that show now on ABC with that cute girl. What's her name? It's basically like a money pit type shit, reformed. So anyway, he interviewed him recently, and I come to learn that Justin Long decided to start doing podcasts because he was on Dax Shepard's podcast. And there's where I'm getting at. You start listening to an interview on a podcast that you listen to, and you end up finding out the person he's interviewing, who you like, also has a podcast. So now you're like, fuck, that's another podcast that I gotta listen to. And I have yet to even look for his, because I have about 8 on my list on Google, but I'm only doing 5. In fact, I think I'm gonna get some shit because there's a certain one that's not in my top 5. Honorable mention, but it's not in my top 5, and I'll explain to you why. So yeah, that's like, man, bro, another podcast. So I have yet to even look his podcast up, but I heard good things about it. So there, number 5, Life is Short with Justin Long. So moving on to number 4. This gentleman, I have yet to even listen to one that he doesn't interview somebody. He's been doing it, and this is another thing. 3 of my 5 have been doing it from the beginning, pretty much. I'm talking about G's in the industry of podcasting, guys who were doing it from the beginning. So I think I have a good list, because like I said, there's a bunch of podcasts, there's Fly By Nights, and there's stuff that has been around for a while. Oh, my phone's ringing. Why is my phone ringing? Can anybody figure out what this song is? That's my girl calling. I'm gonna pick it up before why you take so long? Hello. I am in the studio. My studio. Where I have my studio doing an episode. Obviously, where's the studio at? Okay, well, I'm in the middle of recording, so I'm going to go ahead and put the phone down now. Okay, gotcha. That's how you do it, man. That's how you do it, boy. That's how you handle your woman. Where was that? Okay, so anyways, this individual has been doing it for a very, 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 very long time. I mean, when you have over 1,000 episodes of podcasting, yeah, you've been doing it for a while. He's a good interviewer. He is a comedian. In fact, there's a pattern starting to build here. 4 of my top 5 are comedians. And the other one, obviously, Justin Long, is a comedic actor. So I guess comedy, there's a pattern there when it comes to my podcast. My podcast listening, enjoyment. Yeah. So, without further ado, number 4 is WTF, What the Fuck, with Mark Maron. And I actually didn't start listening to his podcast till after the first season of Glow. I mean, I've always known who he was, But I never got into any of his shows. He had a show, I think, on IFC and all these other places, and I never got into it. But I've always known who he was, and so in Glow, I developed an affirmation for the gentleman, and so that's when I started listening to his podcast after that. And it's a good podcast. He brings on good people, good interviews. I don't know. I feel like sometimes like he cuts people off a lot, but I don't know. It's just part of his thing. I do it too, so it is what it is. What are you gonna do? But it's a very entertaining podcast. Hold on. Hey, hello, and I'm back. Sorry, I had to take a small break there for a second. By the way, a little shout out to my beer of the day, and that is, can you see it clearly? A little Hoegaarden. I was introduced to this beer, and I'll get back to Mark Maron. I haven't forgotten about him. There's not much more to say. I mean, you know who he is. He's funny. His show is good. There's not a lot of nuance to it. It's pretty straight up. As a guest, they talk about stuff, and he moves on. He plays guitar. He's a funny guy, and I enjoy his podcast. So, anyway, like I was saying, real quick, Hoegaarden. So, with that being said, moving on. So far, we got Life is Short with Justin Long at number 5. What the Fuck with Mark Maron. And I love his title. What the Fuck with Mark Maron at number 4. Now, this is where things get interesting. I have a decision to make here. Because I pretty much know who my number 1 is. That's a given already, I think. And so number 2 and number 3, you know what? I know what I'm going to do. Number 3, Everyone is Awful with Jim Florentine. That guy is, me and him are kindred spirits, I think. That alone should make him number 1, but when you hear my number 1, you're gonna understand why this guy's not number 1. Well, when you hear number 2 too, but like I said, they could flop, dude. They could flop because all 3 do something that entertains me very, 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 very much. Speaking of that accent, me and my girl were watching 90 Day Fiancé, the last one that they did, like 2017 or something. There's this Dominican dude. Oh my God, his English is whatever. He speaks English, but it's the worst, and it's so funny. I'm not even gonna get into it now, but it's fucking hilarious. So if you get a chance, go check out the 90 Day Fiancé and the kid from the Dominican Republic, Luis. I think his name is Luis. Dude, I cracked up last night watching. I had to rewind like 4 times. I was like, what's so funny about what he said? It's just the way he did it. Anyway, so Jim Florentine, funny guy, very funny. I think he's well known in the comedic circle. Like people who like stand-up comedy know who he is. His show is special because it's like that's why I said we're like kindred spirits. His show is special because me personally, I kind of hate people. I don't really like people that much, and neither does he. It seems like he hates a lot of different things, and pretty much like me. He's always bitching about something, and so basically his show is basically him ranting on different things, and I love it. I fucking love it. I love his intro. His intro's the greatest. He's just like, fuck, and it's just that's his whole thing. You know, he starts talking about the things that bother him, and it's hilarious because he gets away with that shit. He has funny Facebook posts. He does specialty tags like the awful ones. I mean, obviously, just listening to the title of his podcast, Everyone is Awful, should just give you a heads up of what you're walking into. And for the second time, I'd like to say hello to my flamingo, by the way. I don't know if anybody noticed. I guess I'll go with her. And nobody noticed her last week. Well, I hope somebody noticed. Plenty of people should have noticed her last week. She said hello, by the way, in the middle of the beginning intro. Dude, it's hilarious because when he talks about the stuff that bothers him, it's like, yeah, I feel you, bro. I'm all day on that shit. And the different topics that he brings up, like I said, funny, horrible Facebook posts, inspirational quotes. He hates that shit. The tags. He does an 80s music and 90s music. I don't know, because I like 80s music and 90s, and a lot of the music that he was trashing on, I was like, I kind of like it. I was that guy, I kind of like that music. So I'm not going to, those episodes I kind of stay away from because they're not really entertaining to me, but everything else is it's just fucking hilarious. And the name, like I said, the name of the show is perfect. You can't get any better than that. Everyone is Awful. Because pretty much, not everyone, but, for the most part. So, number 3, to just catch you guys up. Let's go back. Number 5, Life is Short, Justin Long. Number 4, Mark Maron, What the Fuck. And number 3, Everyone is Awful with Jim Florentine. So moving on to number 2, Number Dos. And I ain't saying peace. I'm not a crook. After much debate, because I keep saying that I know I'm number 1, but it's still in my head. I'm still like, it's still like running around because they're both so good. All right, number 2. Okay, the Monday Morning Podcast with none other than the man, the legend, the myth. Oh wait, the man, the myth, the legend, Bill Burr, baby. Look, on top of the fact that he is my favorite comedian, which doesn't make a lot of sense why he's not number 1. But being a stand-up and the podcast are not the same thing. But he's good at both. He's great at both, man. He is just great at both. And bro, I love listening to his podcast. Now he has another one with Bert Kreischer and another one that from back in the day that my girl started listening to with Joe somebody. I forget the guy's name. He's another comedian, I think. The guy's just hilarious, bro. Anywhere he goes, anything he does, anything he says, his laugh, his look. I'm waiting to watch the King of Staten Island. He's in it, and I've heard he does well, bro. You gotta remember he was on Breaking Bad, so acting is not nothing new to him. He was in Breaking Bad. He did another movie, and then now this one, the King of Staten. Is it the King of Staten Island? I think it's the King of Staten Island. I don't care for Pete Davidson too much for the movie, but I guess I have to get through him to get the bill, and that's fine. It is what it is. What, baby? I need to take a break. The woman's calling. Hey, man, we are back. Gotta be a good boyfriend and attend to the woman. That's what you should do as a man. Tend to your woman. So what? She interrupted the podcast for 2 seconds, bro, to take care. Because I gotta eat. She's like, well, baby, what do we want to eat? What do we want to eat? Probably gonna hit up a little fritanga. For those of you who don't know what fritanga is, that's Nicaraguan food. It's pretty fire. Gallo pinto, some carne asada, some queso frito, which is my favorite, fried cheese. I get 2 of them bitches. And their little salad that they make is basically coleslaw with a little, kick, whatever. So, back to the list. And we are at number 2. And I already told you, Bill Burr. Look, there's not much that I need to say about the man. His work speaks for itself. His specials are great. My favorite, even though Paper Tiger was good, my favorite was oh shit! How can I forget? Oh no! Hold on. How can I forget my favorite Bill? It's the names. There's so many different names out there for stuff, bro. It's hard to remember everything. I think you people are all the same. I think my favorite part is at the beginning. He talks about buying a shotgun or going to get a gun in Vegas, in Reno. I've heard it spread. Got a good spread. Like you keep saying, it's got a good spread. He was talking about getting a shotgun. He goes, why don't you get a shiny one? If you haven't seen that, just go. It's old. He's actually, look, I'll put it to you like this. It's old enough where he still had hair. Okay? And if you know him now, bald as fuck. Whatever. I'm not, too far behind him, but I got that 8-ball thing happening. I used to have long hair down to my back. Beautiful stallion, looking like Steven Seagal and shit. So anyway, yeah, that's how long ago that special was. Not that long, but it's still great. It's still funny. Like you can listen to George Carlin now, and it's still funny. And that was 20, 30 years ago. So whatever, dude. It's a fucking great special. I think it's probably my favorite special, next to Sebastian Maniscalco. Are You Embarrassed? That was a great special too, by the way. And I can do comedians too. We'll do that another day. I might do that too next. My top 5 comedians. I think that's something. Hey, if there's anything you guys want me to rate, let me know. Hit me up. The My 1 Cent Podcast, Twitter, My 1 Cent Podcast, Twitter and Instagram, My 1 Cent Podcast. There we go. Let me get that right. We got the My 1 Cent Podcast, gmail.com, where you can email me any suggestions for the show, any topics, you want to tell me to go fuck myself. Hey, bro, it is what it is, baby. And then coming soon, we got the MyOneCentPodcast.com. Coming soon on that, we got some merch. Pretty Penny, stick his face all over the world. That's all. I just want to take over the world, bro. The My One Cent Podcast is round, so it can easily cover the world. So, moving on. Are we done talking about Bill Burr? I don't know. Because number one is right there, and it's the same thing with Bill Burr. I don't have to say much about him, about the guy coming in at number one. And yes, it's the guy. Like I told you, I got no girls in my top 5. I don't even really do female comedians. I don't know why. My girl always wonders why I have a hard time doing female comedians. Oh, but I do. And it's just like female sports. Look, I'm not a fucking, what do you call it, misogynist or whatever. But female sportscasters and female comedians, I don't know why they don't work for me, man. They just don't. Let's move on to the number one spot on the My One Cent Podcast, top 5 podcasts, in my opinion, to listen to. Because this is all my opinion. This isn't anybody else's. How do I put this? And I love the intro. I wish I could play the intro right now, but for some reason, I don't have the equipment and the setup to be able to get music through the video. Whatever. I'm not going to get into all that. I'm just letting you know, as much as I would love to put the music so you know what I'm talking about, I'm not going to do it. I don't need to, because this is a man. This is a man who doesn't hold anything back. You know his story. You know his life. You know what he's been through. You know what he's done. And he doesn't give a fuck that you do. And that's the thing I love the most about him. He curses a lot. He tells people the truth. He doesn't give a shit. He has no filter. You know, I remember there was an episode and there was a gay pride parade or something going on near right where they were. And you know what? And I'm going to say it too, because I honestly don't give a fuck either, because at the end of the day, it is what it is, man. And he was like a bunch of faggots running around here like, he doesn't give a fuck. And I like that, because I think sometimes people can't be constricted to say shit, because you're going to hurt somebody's feelings. At the end of the day, you're always going to end up hurting somebody's feelings. So fuck it. It is what it is. And I've always felt like comedians have that thing that they can do and say certain things and get away with it. Even though, obviously, with the whole Me Too thing, a lot of these comedians took a hit. Well, not a lot of comedians, but a top comedian, CK. Which I got to tell you, from what I can remember of the story, I didn't really look into it. At least he was polite enough to ask him if he could jerk off to them. I mean, come on. The guy had some manners to it. I mean, it wasn't so like, hey, turn around. So whatever. I'm just saying. But I know he's back out doing his thing, and I can't wait to. Hopefully he gets another special out there, and I don't think he's ever going to get back on TV with his show. Even though I did watch it and I enjoyed it, he makes me laugh. It's just his style makes me laugh, and so it's a shame that all that shit happened with him. Because I thought he was a top comedian. He's one of my top comedians. But yeah, Joey. Well, I guess I just fucking ruined it. Number one, the Church of What's Happening Now with Joey Coco motherfucking Diaz. And I hate calling him Coco. I don't know why. Coco's a name that bugs me to call people that. Like, I don't think that's a name you should be ever named anybody. Now, I'm going to say a little nickname for him. His name is Joey Diaz. But I have a hard time saying Coco. I'd rather call him Uncle Joey. So, number one, My One Cent Podcast, top 5 podcast, Uncle Joey, baby. The Church of What's Happening Now. And it don't get no better than that. My honorable mention considers him to be the funniest man that he's ever seen. And by that, my honorable mention is Joe Rogan. And that's what I said earlier in the beginning, that I'm probably going to get shit from some people for not making him putting him in my top 5 as podcast. Because let's not pretend like, the guy isn't number one. I mean, what did he just get? $100 million deal from Spotify, which kind of sucks, because he's moving to that, and now it's going to be paid, and me and my boy T, we're always like, fuck, man. Like, it happened with Michael Rappaport. I loved his podcast. But you know what? He sold out, which is okay, because I'll sell out for money, too. I don't give a fuck. None of you motherfuckers paying my bills, so don't come to me with that bullshit. But it sucks for the ones for, like, people like us. I'm not going to pay for no service to listen to a podcast. My other podcasts are free, so if, hey, he wants to go, then, hey, it is what it is. But I miss listening to Michael Rappaport. In fact, if I was still listening to his podcast, he'd probably be in my top 5, because I loved his podcast. I loved it. So, the Church of What's Happening Now. Joey Diaz. like I said, the man holds nothing back. And I love the fact he smokes on his show, which I was. He's a smart guy, and like I said, he doesn't hold nothing back. He tells you the shit that he's done, tells you why he went to prison, he tells you what he did, he tells you all the shit he did when he was younger, the robbing, the steal. Well, robbing and stealing is the same shit. All the shit. But he's also fucking hilarious. He's funny as fuck. It's not necessarily the cursing and all that makes it funny. I mean, it helps. It helps. The cursing is funny sometimes. The things he says. But in the end, he just does a good job at talking to people. And like I said earlier, I had two of my top three. One does interviews all for the most part and does some without, which is him. And then you got Burr, who doesn't interview anybody. So I like listening to Joey when he does either an interview or he doesn't. And during the quarantine, he had a few episodes that he was just reminiscing on stuff and people that from his back in the day when he was younger and stuff. And that was cool to listen to his. Like I said, he doesn't hold nothing back. So those are those that you want to listen to stuff like that because he's telling you what's actually happened to him in his life. And the kind of shit that he's been through, a lot of people don't go through. A lot of people don't hear it. They're like, oh my God, what is that? Like, I've been locked up. Don't get me wrong. I've gone to jail overnight. There's a couple of them. A little marijuana possession. No big fucking deal. It is what it is, bro. Don't act like we ain't all been through some bullshit. So it is what it is. But I appreciate that. I like that he doesn't feel the need to shelter that from people. He'd be like, hey, I've been to fucking prison. He's been to prison. The guy's been to prison for, I think he said kidnapping. I haven't heard the story. I'm sure he's told it, but I haven't heard it, and I'm sure I can look it up. But it's just something about the way he presents himself, the way he comes off, the things he says, the stuff he talks about, the people he brings on. I don't even know half the people he brings on. They're mostly comedians anyway, but I get it. I enjoy listening to him. I find out about these people because of the way he goes about his interviews. And he's very complimentary in the sense that he tells people, if they've done well, what they're good at this, they're good at that, and that he enjoys them. And I've noticed too that if he doesn't really, the thing is, I haven't really noticed him bringing people on that he doesn't know personally, like he doesn't know well enough to be able to talk about them. So I guess in that sense, he pretty much has a handle on the people he has on his show, and like he'll talk about guys. He'll bring on a guy that I don't know, a comedian. I think his name is. I always confuse him with George Lopez. I think his name is Carlos Lopez. I want to say Carlos Lopez, but I may be wrong. Or George Ramos, one of the two. And he talks about knowing him when he was cleaning offices and shit like that, and watching him come up, and that's the thing I like about him. Like I said, he cares about people, dude. I think he genuinely actually cares about people, but he's not afraid to tell you to your face, fuck off. He says it on the show. Bro, people start coming up to me now talking about selfies. Like, nah, motherfucker, the selfies gone. I ain't doing no motherfucking selfies. I appreciate you coming out, this and that. And the good thing for him, he was talking about not doing shows and whatnot until things started really clearing up. He has his podcast. And like I said, 3 of my 5, I've been doing it for a long fucking time. Burr, Joey, and Marin. I mean, they're all over 600 or 700 episodes, I think. I mean, let me see if I can get a number on the other two. I know for sure that Marin is over 1,000 episodes, and so is he's not in my top 5, but Joe Rogan, he's over 1,000 episodes. Now, is that over 1,000 considering his? Because he does the MMA ones that I don't listen to because I don't watch MMA. Let me see something. Joey Diaz has, up to right now, to 4 days ago, 792 episodes. Okay? That's impressive. All right, motherfuckers? Bill Burr has... Oh, see, he doesn't have his listed as numbers. But I know he's been doing it for over 10 years. That's for damn sure. And Mark Maron, 1,128. That's insane. That's a lot of fucking podcasting. That's a lot of episodes. That's a lot of guests. That's a lot of interviews. That's a lot of information. I mean, I'd be lucky to even get to half of that. Shit, I'm only at, 40 on my podcast and 16 videos. So, I'm almost there, guys. So, there you have it, folks. My top 5 podcasts, in my opinion, to listen to. Number 1, Church of What's Happening Now. No brainer. Number 2, the Mind One. Look at me. I'm already throwing mine in there. I don't even listen to mine. the Monday morning podcast. I'm thinking of Peter King. The Monday morning podcast with Bill Burr, and I love because he does 2 a week. He does the Thursday. I love the way he does it. The Thursday right before Friday, before Monday morning. It's a lot. The Thursday right before Friday, Monday morning podcast. So he does 2 a week. He does one on Monday and one on Thursday. Or he puts them out on those days. So number 3, Everyone is Awful with Jim Florentine. Did I forget to mention Florentine's a Miami Dolphins fan, which is another thing I love about him. And he is, because I was recently watching one of his clips, and he was wearing Dolphin shorts at home. And I even tweeted him, like, hey, nice shorts, buddy. Fins up, baby. Number 4, What the Fuck, or WTF, with Mark Maron. And number 5, Life is Short with Justin Long, which I love the name, too. Life is Short with Justin Long. It's like the mountains and pockets. It just rolls off your motherfucking tongues. So, with that all being said, I hope you guys... Oh, wait, hold on. You see? I get ahead of myself, bro. I'm thinking about food. My girl's like, hey, we got to eat because I'm hungry. I want that fritanga. Honorable mention, real quick. I already mentioned Joe Rogan. And the reason he's not in my top 5, I don't listen to him as much as I did before. He does bring a lot of interesting guests on. But a lot of guests that I'll see, I'll be like, okay, maybe one day I'll, because he brings a lot of people a lot of information. So I know perfectly well that if there's something I wanted to learn and I looked it up, oh, this guy is a foremost expert, I bet you I can go to Joe Rogan's, list of interviews, and he's probably been interviewed by Joe Rogan. The guy brings interesting people, like people you never even heard of. But it doesn't always call my attention to want to listen to it. But you can't deny what he is and what the show is, and how great of a podcast it really is. But to me, it's number 6. If it really did that, I'll do number 6. And then my other honorable mention is Wine and Weed. Is it Weed and Wine or Wine and Weed? I always forget. With Stilo Bream and his boy Chris. I don't know the guy's last name. Now, I've recently got into them. Which one thing about getting into podcasts now that I've been around for a little bit is one thing that bugs me is that I don't like going back too far. I don't like going back like 3 months. I'll go down the list and I'll see a good interview. I'm like, damn, that's a hell of an interview. But then I realize the time, like 4 months, 5 months ago, maybe last year. And I'm like, yeah, I don't want to listen to that one because I feel like they end up talking about things that are going on at that time, and I know, I don't know, it just doesn't register too much So I try to go back a few episodes. That's what I did with them, with Weed and Wine or Wine and Weed. I went back a couple episodes to hear what they're about. I'm a big fan of him because of Ridiculousness. I love the show. And actually, a little shout out to Stilo for retweeting and liking a tweet of mine that I tweeted, a couple weeks ago, a month ago or something. No, a few months ago actually, when I first got into the podcast. I was like, just getting into the podcast, and I already love Ridiculousness, so this just makes me feel closer to Stilo. I did a little, because he always does that shit. If he's not humping something, he's doing this. And happy birthday, by the way. I saw your little, not exactly like you said the birthday you'd want, especially when you just found out that the other girl who was, you know what I'm talking about, the girl from Louisville, Kentucky, is it? She shares your birthday, so. And I know you're not really going to hear this, but somebody does listen to it that knows him. Let him know I said happy birthday, Stilo Bream. Oh, wait, hold on. I brought my honey stick out, and I never even hit it. Little true shout out to Stilo Brim on his birthday, baby. So, I like what they do. I like the back and forth with him and the white boy. Miss Pat too, by the way. Miss Pat, she kind of got a little, kind of got past it already. What's the word? There's a term. There's a saying. The whatever wears off. The oh shit! What is the fucking saying? Anyway, whatever. The glitter or whatever wears off. It was funny at first, and because she reminds me a lot about Bernie Mac, like a female version of Bernie Mac. But it kind of just wore down for me already with her podcast that she does with that white boy and the other guy and her daughter sometimes or whatnot. But she's funny. So, yeah, I started listening to them, and I like what they were doing. They talk about weed, talk about wine, they talk about that stuff going on. And it's just the way they flow. They're sitting on a couch, chilling, which I really would like to get to that point one day where I can do the podcast live with people and sit in front of me, like a whole Joe Rogan interview. Like, I want the big fucking table. One day, yo. One day. And you know how I can get there? How we can all jump on the bandwagon, join the ride, is by subscribing on YouTube. The My 1 Cent Podcast on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that bell. Post notification. Again, also, My 1 Cent Podcast on Instagram and Twitter. My 1 Cent Podcast at Gmail. You can hit us up with suggestions for the show, topics. Tell us to go jump off a tall building. I don't care. Say something. Let us know you're listening. Let us know that you enjoy it or you don't. Don't matter to me, man. Just let's go. Let's get some interaction going with you guys. Hey, if you don't want to talk to me, I'm still going to keep doing this shit. So it's your fucking choice. You either interact with me or you're going to have to deal with me for a long time in this space. And, well, you won't get Kurt next time, probably. I'll probably swap him out. I bought that in New York City in 99, I think. 98, I went to New York with my sister. And street artist drew that. I think I paid I'm not going to say what I paid for because I have it on offer up for like $200. But I'm probably not going to sell it. Because when I actually get my little studio set up, I definitely plan on putting them up. I'm a big Nirvana fan, by the way, so that's why I bought it. I can't get rid of you, Kurt. It's pretty good, too, right? Nice. Looks like him, at least. Let me see. Yeah, 96. Ain't that a motherfucker? I graduated high school in 96. Jesus Christ. American High, baby. Go Patriots. That's the only time you're ever going to hear me say go Patriots because they're my alma mater. But I'm a Dolphin fan, bitch. Fuck the fucking New England Patriots. So, everyone, thank you for joining me. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. I hope that this was entertaining for you. I hope it was informative. I hope that, if you didn't listen to podcasts then, which wouldn't make sense if you're listening to mine, and if I'm the only podcast you listen to, then fuck yeah, baby. Rock and roll, motherfucker. But I would definitely give these guys a gander. It's worth it. And, I don't know. To me, I guess I started getting into the podcast because music isn't what it was. And I've always listened to AM radio and whatnot when I was in high school and whatnot. So it's nothing new to me to listen to talk radio. But these guys are funny, man. They're good shows. They're entertaining. Some are an hour. For the most part, they're roughly an hour. I think Justin Long is a little less. And I really enjoy Justin Long's little music. Life is but a dream. Life is but a dream. Do 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 do. Yeah, it's a little catchy little tune. I gotta give it to him. I didn't know he had a brother, by the way. I think he's done a few movies, but I don't know. I looked him up, but I don't know what he looks like. So, as I leave you on this somber Saturday evening in Miami or in Hialeah, fucking day fucked up. We were supposed to go kayaking today, but we had to cancel because the weather was just not gonna let us enjoy the day. So shout out to Yak Crew. We'll get them, baby. We'll get out there. We'll make our what do they call it? Triumphant return to the waterways of South Florida with the Yak Crew, baby, all day, every day. And again, thanks for listening, guys. I hope you guys had fun. I hope it was entertaining and informative. I know I said that twice, but whatever, bro. Just you gotta hear it. Yeah. I'm going to go fucking eat some fritanga, baby. You know how we do. My 1 Cent Podcast. Check it out. Peace, baby.